Hi Flosstube, I'm Rachel, stitch.rach here on Flosstube and on Instagram. It is Monday the 14th of October and this is my YouTube channel about cross stitch. Hi everyone, I haven't done one of these for 5 months, so every time I leave it this long it's like starting all over again. But we will see if I remember how to do them or not. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for waiting so patiently for me to return. If it's your first time here, then welcome. As I say, haven't done one of these for ages, so feel extremely out of practice and don't really know what I'm going to say and haven't really got a plan. So we'll see how it goes, but if I didn't sit down to do this today, I don't think I would ever have done one again. So here we are. I say I haven't got a plan. I have a very vague plan today. Given it's been so long, I decided that, see, you can tell it's been ages, I'm all stuttery and don't really know what I'm saying. I decided that it was just not practicable to try and show you everything I've stitched on in the last 5 months. What I thought I would do is show you the finishes I had in the last 5 months and then what I plan to stitch on during the rest of October. Because realistically, even if I manage to keep to some form of schedule, I'm not going to be back again during October. Children break up at the end of this week for half term, and have 2 weeks off. And we all know how it goes when I try and film when children are at home. So why has it been so long? Do I know? Yeah, I do and I don't. Nothing dramatic happened, nothing that made me like super busy. It's just life became quite full. I started volunteering at my children's school, and before the summer holidays I was going in every day for kind of half a day, which, you know, took a fair old chunk of time out of life. So by the time all the jobs had done and the dog had been walked, it was time to get off to school and do the voluntary stuff. And then we hit the summer holidays and we had a lovely summer. We went to Greece and my sister got married and, you know, so just lots of things going on. And then children gone back to school. My eldest has started high school, so we were getting into the swing of that and how that looked for life. And so all of a sudden we're here at half term. I went to Stitch in London a week and a bit ago now, and some of you were kind enough to ask me when I might be back on Flosstube. So here I am, back on Flosstube, not knowing what I'm talking about. So there we go. So I don't think I'm umming like crazy as well, aren't I? I don't think I've got huge amounts to say about life stuff. As I say, lots of kind of biggish things have happened, like the high school thing, my sister getting married thing, but you know, then they're not things I can fill hours with here. My sister's hen do was fun. Went to Bongos Bingo. That's a thing. It was great. We had a great time. So I'm so out of practice. I guess I'll just dive in and kind of show you what I have been finishing the last 5 months since I've been here. I don't know if this will be very long today or not. We'll see how waffly and rambly I'll get, but I'll show you these finishes. Then I'll show you what I'm stitching on right now. And then I will talk about Stitch in London a little bit, and then we'll see where we are. That should fill 20 minutes, half an hour, right? You get so right, now I'm just sounding like, oh, you get so out of practice at these, which I think I've now said 10 times in 4 minutes. But when you do them constantly, you get into like the chat of it and you remember what you spoke about last time, and every time you leave it, it feels like starting from scratch. Yeah. There you go. And I didn't really watch back what I said in May. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Right. I think it's best if we just dive in. I think that will ease me into it nicely. Right. So if you remember, throughout this year, my plan was to stitch The Word Plays by Brenda Gervais, and a friend had very kindly lent me the chart and I was stitching each one in that month. And last time you saw me, I did watch this little bit back because I couldn't actually remember if I'd finished it or not. Excuse me. last time you saw me, I had nearly finished the May wordplay. And I'll just which one's which. And if I get this piece of fabric out, you will see that I did indeed finish the May wordplay. And here it is. So these, most of these charts have now been returned to their owner, but there is May. I am stitching these wordplays on a 36 count flax by Zweigart. Just on the pre-cuts, I get them from Wool Warehouse. I'm stitching them in all the called for colours. I'm just really enjoying them. They're really, really great fun stitches. And I think I made a little, so long ago, I think I made a little change on this one. I think in the original, the beehive down there, or the bee skip, has a Stars and Stripes flag coming out of the top. So I just took that out and put in some more bees. I've done quite a few little amends for the Americana in these patterns, but there you go, that was May. And then in June, you'll be shocked to hear this, I finished the June wordplay. There's going to be a bit of a theme with some of these finishes. I'm just keeping folding the fabric different ways. So there was June. And there we go. And again, I think there was a flag on here as well. I think that lady up there in the original is again holding a Stars and Stripes flag. And instead of having her holding a flag, I think I made her put her hands on her hips, and then I stitched an extra bird, that flying bird I think I inserted. But otherwise I'm pretty sure it is just as charted. It was funny after May, because May was super duper colourful, and then June kind of went back to this more muted palette. But I do like them. And the keeping up kept keeping up. So in July, I finished the July wordplay. These are all on the same piece of fabric. You can see I just keep folding it different ways. Now this one, I do still have the chart for this one. I made a lot of amends on July, because as you can imagine, let me find the chart. This being an American pattern, it was very kind of 4th of July orientated, so you've got kind of fireworks and Stars and Stripes, parades. None of those really struck me as very kind of British summer things. It's not kind of when we do fireworks and whatnot. That's November for us. So I'd already in my mind had a little think about how I wished to change it up a little bit. And so between my own thoughts, and I was also inspired by Wendy, who is at Kirby Wendy Woo on Instagram. She has stitched all these, and again she'd changed this one a little bit. So I decided to make it more just a day at the beach. So, because it did already say day at the beach at the bottom, but I've got bucket and spade on there, sandcastles, rock pool. Again, we had Stars and Stripes on the big ship in the middle, so I changed it to more like the British Royal Navy's flag, which is the Cross of St George with a small Union Jack in the top corner. Instead of trying to do the details of the Union Jack, I just made it a blue kind of rectangle. So it's not an exact replica of the Royal Navy flag, but it's an approximation. So yeah, they were the changes I made there. I'm quite happy with how that's turned out. The friend I borrowed these from, I was convinced I'd sent the July chart back to her, and I saw her and she said, "Oh, can I have the July chart back?" And I was like, I've sent it back to you. And I said, no. I said, no. She said, no. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure I have sent it back to you. And she said, oh, I'll double check, because I haven't. Anyway, I got home from seeing her and I was like, oh no, I do still have it. So it will be on its way to the owner in the post. I'm going to put it back in this bag before I misplace it. So that was July. And then in August, I did the August one. So yeah, I'm on track. I'll show you. Can you see down here my wine stain? I don't think there's a piece of stitching fabric I own that doesn't have a red wine stain. And when that happened, I was really worried that it was going to be in the way of the stitching. So instead of, if I fold this out, you can see they're all like that. You can see how close that wine stain was. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be right in the way. So I thought, in my wisdom, I decided I'd stitch August like the other way at right angles to everything else to avoid the wine stain. So I stitched quite a lot of it. I stitched all like the top. So I did August and Bee Balm, and I came all the way across the top, and it was running into June above it, and I was basically not going to have any margin between them. So I unpicked it all and then just stitched it the normal way, and I do have enough margin that when I finally FFO it, I will be able to avoid that wine stain. But yeah, that was August as well. So again, I'm pretty pleased. I'm really impressed with myself for keeping up. When I set myself this kind of project to stitch them all this year, I hoped I would, but I wasn't 100% sure. But I have kept up and really enjoyed it. So on to the next piece of fabric, which is another piece of 36 count flax. And I've got my September one that is also finished. There it is. Again, I think there was an American flag on here that I took out as well. If not more than one, actually. There might have been this boy holding one, and there might have been one on top of the schoolhouse. I just took them out. And I don't think you notice that this looks a bit bare up here maybe, but if you look really closely, it has got some little white stars in it. I'm not sure how well they're showing up on camera, but you can see them in real life. So yeah, and what I'm currently stitching is October. Just over, I would say I'm just over halfway through the October one. I've got some leaves and berries to put on those twigs, and I've got some more of these little doodads to dot around, and then I think I've got 2 words and 3 big pumpkins to do. So yeah, that one went a couple of days stitching, and that one should be done. So I'm really chuffed that I've kept on top of them all, and I've really enjoyed doing them as well. So I would strongly recommend, if you have this set of Brenda Gervais word plays. Where's the pattern for October? Let me find it. That's November. Where are you, October? There's October. Look, so you can see I've just got autumn, witch. I've got crow to do up here, and then these pumpkins basically, and then that's it. And you can get those words stitched quite quickly when you're going for it. So as I say, I've really enjoyed doing them. I think I'll FFO them into little pillows. My husband said to me this weekend he's got a hole in the pocket of his chinos. He's been there for ages. And he said to me, are you going to have to... Last week, he generally tries not to put stuff in that pocket, but you forget. And he'd put his AirPods case in his pocket and it had fallen out. So he'd come home and said, I've lost my AirPods case. You're going to have to show me how to use the sewing machine. And I was like, yeah, we could learn together. Just so he can stitch up the pocket of his chinos. Actually, someone handed his AirPod case in at Cannon Street. So thank you, kind person that handed in my husband's AirPod case. So he actually got it back from lost property, which was amazing. And then we just did not get around to getting the sewing machine out. So it's not just me. My husband also doesn't do getting the sewing machine out. So that was, how many finishes have I just shown you then? 5. 5 finishes and a whip. So there were 5 of my finishes since I last saw you. I have 3 more finishes since I last saw you. It's been a really big finishing year. I've been getting stuff done. Both the next 2 have been on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you probably know what these are. So the first one I'm going to show you is this one. This is Ivory Crow by The Good Housewife. This again was a chart that was lent to me by a friend, so I know how in demand this chart is sometimes, but I don't own it, and it has been returned to said friend, who I'm not going to name because I don't want them being inundated for the chart. I stitched this while we were in Greece, so a lot of you know, if you've been here before, that holiday stitching is not my forte, but I think this year, for the first time since I had children, my children were kind of old enough that they didn't need me every second. So while I wouldn't say I got loads of stitching done on holiday, and this was certainly helped by a 4-hour delay on our way home. We sat on the tarmac in Kefalonia for 4 hours on the plane. It was not a whole lot of fun. So the flight was delayed. Maybe we didn't sit for 4 hours, maybe we sat for 3 on the plane. We were delayed by 4 hours. So the flight was delayed coming in by about an hour and a half, something like that. Anyway, so we finally got on the plane, and just because of a lot of the things that are happening in the world, that kind of bit of airspace over the Greek islands and towards Turkey and the Middle East is very congested because, for understandable reasons, there's a lot of airspace that commercial airlines won't fly over anymore, you know, kind of Ukraine. Fortunately, the Middle East situation wasn't quite as bad as it is now when we were in Greece, but again, there's parts of the Middle Eastern airspace that are closed to to commercial airlines, or commercial airlines would choose not to fly over them. So anyway, it just gets quite congested. I digress. So we got on the plane and the captain said, oh, we've got a 45 minutes to an hour wait for an air traffic control slot. So everyone's like, oh. Anyway, it is what it is. So we sat, but they like you all to be boarded so they can say to air traffic control, we're ready to go, so that if a slot becomes available, they can literally push back. Anyway, so we sat there for our hour and then we started pushing back. We think, oh, finally we're going home. And started pushing back, and the captain comes on over the announcement system. You think, well, this is just not going to be good. And he says, ground staff have just told me that one of our engines is leaking fluid. So we've got to go back to the stand while we investigate what it is. But you can just hear the groans. I mean, fortunately, everyone was very well humoured. It was a really well humoured flight with lots of young families. No one really kicked off. So everyone was like fed up, but no one was going mad. And at this point, you're like, well, what's going to happen? Because it's a Sunday. And so they got an engineer out, and the captain comes back on, and he goes, well, the engineer's coming out, he's going to see if he fixed it, but EasyJet are getting a plane ready that if our plane can't take off, they're going to fly a plane out from Gatwick to come and get you. And you're thinking, yeah, but I mean, it's like nearly a 4-hour flight from Gatwick to here, and it hasn't left the UK yet. And you're thinking, oh God, this is just going to be a nightmare. Anyway, after about another hour and a half, they did manage to fix our plane. It was a hydraulic fluid leak from one of the wing flaps. Is that right? Anyway, something like that. And they fixed it, and we got to go home. But it was like a 4-hour delay. So I was stitching away on this on the, I just sat on the tarmac in Kefalonia. And I think I finished it while we were about an hour or so away from home, still in the air. But yeah, so he's my little Greek crow. He's very cute. He is stitched in the cord for DMC, and this fabric is, I think I know, but I will double check. It is from my Fabric of the Month club that I get from the West Green Loft Yarn Studio, or Wrigley. And it's a 36 count in the May colourway, which was called Vanilla Bean. And it is this kind of, it's washing it out a bit. I wonder if I double it up. It's quite a creamy yellowy colour. It's a bit better. It is more yellow than it's showing And if I put something white behind it. Yeah, can you see that? So it's quite a nice creamy yellow colour. So very pleased with that. The friend is going to lend me the girl one as well. What's she called? Ida? Anyway, so hopefully frame them together and have them together. Maybe like little oval frames? We'll see. We'll see. So that's what I did in Greece and on the plane home from Greece. Right, the next one is a big E. It's been a long time coming. If you've seen my Instagram or Crafting Kirsty's Instagram, you know exactly what this is. But I'm so excited. This is... hold, please. Sorry about that. Right, I just knocked my phone on the floor. Right, this is cardinal points. If you have been here before, you will know this is an old whip. It's not quite as old as I told Crafting Kirsty it was on her video. It was started in January 2019. When I looked at my records when I got home, I realised that I added an extra year to its age. So it is, how old's that? 5.5 years old. And people who have watched me before will know that this has not in any way been my favourite thing to stitch. I absolutely love it. I am so delighted. It's on a hanger because I ironed it. It's going to the framers tomorrow. It was meant to go to the framers last week, but life conspired that I didn't end up going near my framers where I thought I would be. So I'm going to my framers tomorrow. This is coming with me, but I am so delighted with it. It is so beautiful. I finished it at Stitch in London. I didn't think I would. I started the weekend with nearly half of this top section done. So the urn wasn't done, the dogs weren't done. This vase, these flowers, this wreath and this vase weren't done. And I thought, oh, that's too much to get done in a weekend. I won't make it. But I stitched on it basically from Friday lunchtime when I arrived all through Friday. It was the only thing I stitched on Saturday, and I finished it at about 9:30 on Sunday morning. I am absolutely delighted with it. Love it. Absolutely love it. I know where it's going in my house, and I'm sure some of you are equally thrilled that I have finished. I think some of you felt like you'd stitched it with me. The number of comments I got at Stitch in London of people going, oh, would you just finish it and stop moaning about it already? Looking at you, crafting person. But yeah, I got a lot of support finishing it. Can you see that there? I've turned my camera a little bit so you can kind of see it a bit better. So yeah, I am absolutely thrilled with it. I love it so much. What can I tell you about it? For those of you that haven't seen Cardinal Points before, it's designed by Julia Line of Long Dog Samplers, but you can't get it from Long Dog because it was designed exclusively for Gentle Arts. So you have to get it from a needlework store that stocks Gentle Arts. So anywhere that stocks Gentle Arts can order this chart from Gentle Arts. I got mine from Lakeside Needlecraft, but I'm sure anyone that stocks Gentle Arts can get one for you if you give them a call or drop them an email and ask. Mine is stitched 1/2 on 36 count. It's just a white 36 count linen from Zweigart, and it's stitched in all the called for Gentle Arts. Because it's a Gentle Arts exclusive, it does not give you a DMC conversion. I'm sure you could figure one out, but I mean, I think the most beautiful thing about this chart is all the colour. It is just an absolute riot of colour. So I'm very glad mine is in all the called for. It has been a labour of love. As I said to a lot of people, it doesn't look that challenging stitch. And it's not a challenging stitch. There's no speciality stitches or anything like that. but there's just a lot of colour changes. So this border has about 5 different greens in. It's like the inside of the leaf is a different green to the outside of the leaf, which is a different green to this stem, which is a different green to the stems of the leaves, which is a different green to these little leaves around the bottom of the flowers. There's just a lot of different greens in there. And that kind of carries on all the way through the chart. So, you know, in this motif, you know, there's 2 different colours in each of the leaves. There's 2 different colours in this flower. Each of these little waves is a different green. Each of these leaves on this wreath is a different green. So there's just a lot of colour changing. And I don't like, as you'll see, if I show you the back, I do not like stretching my fabric, my thread. And also, when it's on a 36 count linen, if you're going to be stretching these bright colours, they are going to show through when you frame it in the end. So it has been a challenge, but it is beautiful. So if you're thinking about it, just go for it. Try and not leave it 5.5 years. Yeah, really happy with it. Really happy. And that's been my big finish since I last saw you. And I'm sure you're all delighted for me and delighted that I will finally shut up about this project. You'll probably only ever hear about it once more when I have the framed finished article to show you. That is my plan anyway. So I had it, I'm so precious about it now. I had it folded up on this white, laying on this white towel on the stool next to me, because I just don't want anything to happen to it between now and going to the framers tomorrow. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Doesn't bear thinking about. So yeah, that is Gentle Art finished. That was one of my goals for this year, to finish this piece. The other goal we won't talk about because that is nowhere near being finished. But this one is done and I am absolutely delighted. Right, I also have one more finish, but I don't have it here because it was my smalls exchange for Stitch in London. And I was not good enough Flosstubers to take a little video of it before I gave it. But it was one of the Funky Chickens by Satsuma Street. I don't know if you've seen those. And my lovely friend Jane Crumpler picked it off the exchange table. And I have a few pictures, I think, which are not the best pictures. There are some pictures I sent to my friend Crafting Kirsty when I was trying to finish it, going, oh my god, is this all right? It's that nervousness when you do a smalls exchange. You're like, oh god, is this like really subpar offering? Anyway, so I will insert some pictures of it here. Hope you enjoyed seeing that. I know they're not the best pictures in the world. I wasn't really thinking about Flosstube when I did it, but I think Jane liked it. I think it's really fun. I am tempted to make some more. I would quite like one myself, but yeah, really cool. As I say, that's Satsuma Street Funky Chickens. I think just one more piece of stitching to show you really. I'll just show you what I've been working on as out and about stitching. Oh my, can you hear my phone go beep, bleep? I don't know who's bleeping. Let's have a quick look. What is it? Okay, it's just some messages. I will read them in properly in a minute. Let's put that on silent. This is about the standard you expect from me, right? So this is, it's in a Penelope's Pocket project bag. Hope you're doing all right, Sarah. So Sarah, who makes Penelope Pocket project bags, is having a real old time of it. She shared it on her Instagram, so I'm not breaking any confidences, but she is suffering from breast cancer and leukemia. And if you want to hear more about that, go over to her Instagram, where she keeps us updated on how her health is doing, but I do hope you're all right, Sarah. But this is one of her lovely project bags. And in here, I haven't got a title sheet because I have it from when it was a stitch along. I've only got this page. But it's by Stitching Book Club, and it was their Three Musketeers Sal that I think was 2020. I think it's a 2020 stitch along, and I have nearly finished it. I've been doing this as out and about stitching quite a bit, and this is where I am. So I've really only got to do this leaf border down there, which I have started, and then that golden row of pointy things, and a teeny tiny little bit of back stitching, and it's done. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this when it's finished. I'm probably not going to put it on my wall. So if you have any suggestions as to what I could do with it, I thought maybe like a project roll, perhaps? Maybe? I have no idea how to make one of those. But maybe something like that. If answers on a postcard what I should do with this when it's finished. As I say, I'm not sure I want to frame it and put it on my wall. But hopefully, again, by next time I see you, this will be finished. What can I tell you about this? It's stitched on a 32 count blue linen by Crafty Kitten Fabrics, who are no longer in business. It is stitched in similar colours to the called for, but I did my own conversion into fancy floss, and I think they're mainly Gentle Arts and Colour and Cotton. And yeah, just want to tick off the list really. As I say, not sure what to do with it, but it's quite a nice stitch for the car, because although this leaf border that I'm currently working on is a bit of a faff, the rest of it is actually very kind of repeating patterns, so you can get into a rhythm with it, which is nice for car stitching. You're not constantly having to refer to the pattern. So yeah, as I say, hopefully in the next couple of weeks that will be finished. So that's that. What time are we on? Nearly 2 o'clock. To go and get my children in an hour. This might not be edited and up until later this evening, but you don't know that because you'll only see it when it's finally there. So I think that's all the stitching I have to show you. Plans: finish my October wordplay, finish the Musketeers. I might be having a new start. I'm still toying with myself. There is an event happening next year that I might want to stitch a gift for, and if I do, I really need to pull my finger out and actually do it. So that is kind of playing around in my mind as one of my plans, but we'll see where we get to. We'll see where we get to. What else do I have to tell you about? Went to stitch in London, had an amazing time. It was lovely to catch up with some old friends and make some new ones. I was sat with my stitching besties, Crafting Kirsty and Chris, who's the Bronte Stitcher on Instagram, and we were sat with our friend Jane, who I met for the first time at Stitch in London last year, and it was lovely to stitch with her again. She's very, very good company. And Edna, who was also on the kind of legendary Table 9 from last year. Caught up with Whitney, a former, another Table 9 graduate, and Sally from Flossie Sews and Grows. It was lovely to catch up with her, and Charlie Feathers, and my friend Justine. Hi Justine, if you're watching. And her friends, Elaine and Julie, just so many people, And Marie from Stitches and Diamonds once again put on a fab event, so thank you Marie. I think everyone had a super duper time. So it's just too many people to mention, so I'm sorry if I haven't mentioned you, but it was just lovely to meet everyone and see everyone. Oh, and Danny, who sat on, I don't even know what table we were on this year, I don't know what number it was, but Danny, who sat on our table with us, who I know watches me and had commented that morning that I'd said I was off to Stitch London. She was like, oh, I'm going, it's my first retreat, and then she ended up sitting with us, and it was just lovely to meet her. Really lovely to meet you, Danny. I'm not going to go through everything I got as like table gifts and stuff, because I'm just not organised and stuff is everywhere, and I'm totally out of practice at doing Flosstube. As you can tell, this is a bit of a, it's a thing, isn't it? It's fine. yeah, so I'm not going to do that. But if you gave me a table gift or if you gave me another gift, thank you very much. They're really appreciated and they are absolutely being used. But I did enter the S'mores exchange, and as I said, I stitched something that was picked by my friend Jane. And I picked this bag with all these birds on. And in this bag was this amazing little pillow. Stitch all the things with amazing appropriate London backing fabric by the lovely cross stitch Sarah. So I did say thank you to Sarah. I have got a picture of me and her together that I will insert here. And I love it, Sarah, thank you. So I'm going to go and put this downstairs in my stitchy spot now. I have shown it on my Flosstube and it can sit with all the other things that I have down there. She gave me lots of other lovely little things in this bag. My children were very excited by the Rocky Bar, although I did manage to keep it outside, out of their little hands. I got some nice, some nice thread and some floss drops and all kinds of lovely things in there with this cushion. But thank you very much, Sarah. It was lovely. I think that's it. I think that is it for this kind of rather chaotic return to Flosstube. On the plus side, no screaming children, no dead birds or rodents, no pet interruptions. So in the grand scheme of things, it's perhaps not as chaotic as some of my other offerings. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's probably a good thing. I will try. I feel like every time I film this year, I've said, I'm going to really try and keep to a schedule. I am going to try. And it's not that life is horrendously busy, it's just life is full. And it sometimes just getting to sit down quietly for an hour or so just doesn't quite happen. But thank you if you've joined me today. I'm sorry it has been so long. Do like and subscribe if you want to. And please do leave me a comment. It's lovely to read them. And yeah, head into the framers tomorrow. So until next time, maybe in 3 weeks.